So this is a bit of an unboxing. This is the HMS Victory, and it's from Neverland Hobby, a plastic model in 1/700 scale of the HMS Victory. I built the Victory a couple of different times, both from a kit from Artist Hobby and also using a Turner miniature hull and masts from that kit. Nowadays I scratch built a lot of masts, but I still got interested in this kit because I was thinking that the Photoetch that came with it looks really interesting, and the price wasn't all that high when I ordered it. So I figured I'll order it and take a look at it, and as it turns out, I think I'm gonna like. I just opened the box a tiny bit before this, but I'll open it properly now and we'll have a look together. So here it goes. So as I said, it's a plastic kit, and I'll put this aside for now. And comes in frames. Frames are clearly marked. It's a couple of frames with hull and decks and so on. Other frames with masts and cannon, carronades and so on. Then you have some 3D printed stuff. I'll get to that later. There's two versions of this one. So this is the advanced version, I think it's called, with the interior. So there's like a table and so on that you can put in the cabin for added detail. And we have also for a stand, you have the plates, HMS Victory plate, we'll get to that, and you have the Photoetch in there as well. So that's the part I was actually getting this for, because I've been pretty excited. I really like Atlantic models, and I have a video on Atlantic models Photoetch. But sometimes variation isn't bad, so I was thinking of using it with something else. But now that I see how nice I think the Atlantic model is, I just want to build this thing, and I'll be ending up using this for it. And you also get a bit of decals, transfers. I get to that later as well. And then I think this is the colors that you would need. I'm not going to be following that, how you're doing your own thing. Also you get a sale plan. That's always nice. So you can make a copy of this, print it out on the right type of paper, or copy it onto the right type of paper that you want to use, and then make your own sales for the ship. That's what you need. On this one is also what parts you have in there. So you have that the stand there for the Victory, and then you have the different parts that come with it, the plastic parts and the Photoetch parts and so on. So let's have a look at the things. We also have a manual, or like a flip out, fold out type of manual here, and I guess I'll start with looking through that actually before I do this other stuff. So let's do that. So fold this up. So two sides here, and get page 1. Start with it. So as you see, this is okay detailed. So you'll be making the different decks, and if you are into like super detailing, I guess you could like paint this all in. I am not going to do this, all of it, because what I'm going to do a waterline version of it, because I would like to use it possibly as a model. Maybe I'll just sell this on to someone that would like to use it in the fleet if it turns out okay. As I already have a Victory for my fleet. If I like this more, maybe I keep this and then I sell the one I have. We'll see. But it will be interesting to make, so I'll be cutting this down to the waterline. But still, fun to make the decks, and of course, a lot of advantages with being able to pre-paint all the guns and so on, since they're not attached. So it will be easier to paint them on the frame, I think, so with the right colors and so on. So lower gun deck assembly, and then composition of the lower gun deck, how it's going to look with those bigger 32 pounders, I guess. and a middle gun deck assembly, and then gallery and officers' quarters assembly in 4-1. And you can see here in the back, and there is some of those parts that are photo-etched, but also parts that are from those 3D printed. You have that officer's mess or galley with the table and so on. So I guess once you assemble this, it won't be visible. I'll probably put it in there anyway. It's fun. More stuff to paint. And we have the middle gun deck, and then the hull frame. So this actually has those hull frames, which is fun. You could, in a version of it, leave one side exposed, I suppose, so you could see all that stuff you did on the interior. If you're using this for display, you could just put in the hull frames on one side and skip the actual planking on the outer hull, and just leave everything exposed, so you can display it both with the outer hull and without. I guess that's the way it's made. And so here you have the commander's quarters assembly instructions, and again some of those 3D printed parts marked out, and some of the photo etch as well in this area. And then you have the upper gun deck assembly with the cannons that belong there, and we have the composition where it should go, and then the main deck assembly, and the wheel, I suppose, flipping it over. So we'll get to main deck railing assembly. It's really clear instructions. I mean, this is not a difficult model to build, I think. If the parts fit, which I will find out, I guess I'll probably make an update to this video with this as I assemble it, to see, or like a review really, to see how well it assembles. But the way it looks, I mean, it looks pretty crisp, to be honest. Really good instructions as well, very clear. Here's the photo edge for the upper deck, and the colors that you're supposed to use and so on. Some of this stuff I would have liked to see. I guess I'm really used to the Turner prints and all the definition he has there in different areas, like with the decorations and so on. Like I know I see the stern of this, we'll get to that, but it's not very detailed. So maybe some more detail would be nice. I tried to make up for it by, you know, getting parts on my own done outside and painting it. You get a lot of stuff done by just painting to make it look more, I guess. Quarter deck composition. And how to put that together. And here, I guess that is the optional part if you would like to put on that other side of the hull. I guess the stern you would need on there, but then the side you could just leave that open to expose both the internal structure of the ship. And the ship's bell, and some carronades. I guess those are the really large 68-pounder carronades from HMS Victory. So how you assemble that. And boats, lounges, different anchors, and then we have pay attention to the position of boats and anchors. I guess that's to make sure that they end up in the right place. So the anchors catted there to the catted, and the boats on the deck. I probably won't have the boats on the deck. I'm gonna have the Victory towing her boats ready for action, I guess. And then we get to the masts and so on. We have the bowsprit composition. And I have to say, I just took a look through the plastic bags. I'm really pleased with the way, mostly actually the yard arms, and some parts of the mast. I really like how they made them, and I hope they're durable enough. We're gonna find out that. But also very clear, easy to assemble, I guess. I mean, if you're used to, like me, to building your own mast from brass, this is easy peasy. I'm not sure yet about the proportions here on the ship, if it's going to be proportionate, if they how much they research this. We'll see. Some more Photoetch, the nets on the sides there. Get quite a bit of nets. I found that using this, I've used that in the past for larger, like first rate, like the Victory. I used that even with the Turner house. Some of the stuff was already on there, but I then added some more netting of my own, Photoetch netting of my own, and it really adds a lot of flavor to your models. If you like, it's like a main piece, like it's your flagship or something, some frigate that you really care about. Really recommend you getting, so you can get some of this Photoetch from other places, and then like netting and so on, and it will actually add a lot to your models, doing that in the right places. And here we have the fighting tops. I already saw on the fighting tops there is one part that the only thing I really like, mind break right with this is, I mean, you see those cross trees and everything, they look really good. But I'm missing a little bit of definition here. And I saw that on the plastic as well, like the top of the fighting tops. It's just a straight platform. There's no definition of the planking or anything like that. So, of course, that could be a lot of fun. I guess I'll try to paint that in to make it look right. But I mean, that would be something that could have done. But, and then the sail and rigging assembly. Here is no real rigging instructions. This is not a problem for me. I think I can rig a ship by now, more or less, for the 1/700 scale. But if you're looking for that, I guess you're going to have to go somewhere else. I don't think it was on the other. No, right? There was no rigging instruction. There was just a sail plan. So you're gonna have to find somewhere else. I have a whole rigging tutorial on my channel. So if you want some tips there, you can go there. Looking at the historical paintings is a good idea as well. And maybe you can find instructions for another larger wooden Victory model. That's a good place to go for instructions as well. So you can find where all the standing rigging would be, and some, if you want to add some of the running rigging as well in this scale, would be possible. But all in all, pretty pleased with the instructions here. Pretty clear, I think. And nice illustration on the outside as well, I think. So let's open up the bag. I'm going to start with this. This is the, and I think in the standard version you don't get this extra 3D printed parts. Let's see if I can get the camera to focus on this. So what is this really? So this looks like to be some wheels and some carronades. Maybe, yeah, the ship's bells looks to be in there. Some ship's bells and some carronades and some wheels. Really nice. I think it looks, it's part X, this one. It's very crisp, nice 3D print. And what do we have here in the other bag? Let's see if you guys like this video. So that is probably, yeah, this is like the table and the desks, and I guess that's Nelson's bed, you know, because of his injury he had to have a bed. So I think that's actually what it is. Really nice. Part Y. This type of stuff, even if this is not going to be visible after, you know, me and many of you guys like that type of attention to detail, right? Even if you're not going to see it later, you know it's there, and that's going to make you feel nicer about it. So, going backwards, I'm going to put this bag. 2 seconds. See. So this is the transfers that decals. So usually I print and I paint my own ensigns and so on. I think this is very short for being a commissioning pennant on such a large ship. Should be almost the length of the ship, right? So I'll be redoing that myself. There's some detail here for the back of the Victory. I might transfer that as a base and then paint on top of it to get some of that detail in there. I think that's too bad that they didn't go for trying to get some of the, I don't know if it's hard to get that amount of detail in plastic, but maybe they could have made some 3D printed part for that. I'm not sure. I wouldn't be happy with just using this. I'm going to be using this and paint. I don't know, maybe try sculpting some of my own. This is very small though to sculpt, but could try get some 3D structure in there. But for other people, I mean, it's nice that they have it, so you could like transfer that on if you don't want to paint your own ensign and pennant and so on. And then we have the Photoetch. I'm going to open that. I'm probably going to cut this part. It takes too long. So here we have some of the Photoetch. So this is the actual stand. If you choose to have the full version of the ship, this is the actual stand for it. So it says HMS Victory on both sides, and then you have these cradles. You can cradle the ship, so you can like mount it and maybe display it in a little glass jar or something. Nice little extra. And here we have the Photoetch. It has a nice thickness, pretty thick Photoetch actually, I think. Not very floppy. Of course it has plastic backing on the front and back, so it's well protected. So it's going to be a little bit more floppy once I remove it. But I see here it looks like pretty decent thickness. And judging by others that I use, I mean, the ratlines look really good actually. Usually when I like this stays and so on, I'll do them with a line, but I'm gonna try this like Photoetch. I used it on some others that had it. You have to be really careful when you're cutting this stuff out, and also when you're applying it, it's easy to mess it up. And you don't want these guys to be all bent, you want them to be straight, right? Easy, slow does it. The railing and some of the details for the interior, which looks really nice and crisp, I think. Very similar to the HMS Hobby one. I don't know if they actually looked at that one or got inspiration or copied some parts of that for this one, because I recognize some of this stuff. I mean, it looks pretty similar. Bulkheads and so on. Yeah, really nice. Cool. So whatever I do, even if I decide not to build this one in the end, but I think I will. This would be almost worth it for me, the Photoetch, because I mean, even if I didn't build the Victory, I could be using all this stuff for different stuff. For maybe a large frigate, or let's say a frigate would look really good on like a new version of HMS Majestic, that really large. Even if maybe they didn't have these big ratlines, it could look really good for it. Yeah, so Photoetch, and let's take a look at this bag. This is the mast and so on. I'll probably end up cutting this part when I open the bag. Wasn't prepared. I don't have a scissor. Okay, so let's take a look at this one first. So this is part F. So, and this looks to be the, is it the foremast or the mainmast? that should be the foremast, right? So that's the foremast. Foremast, solid piece of plastic. You can see here the top of the fighting top, there is no detailing on top of that. It's just a flat piece of plastic. That's, as I said earlier, that's my main gripe with this model, because I would have liked to see some of the planking on top of here. That would make it so much easier for everyone if you're painting, if you want a really detailed model. And I think that's too bad, because many of that other stuff here on this is pretty nice and crisply printed and will have a lot of detail. So it's too bad. Maybe you could, I guess I could cut this part off and then cut the part in, like a fighting top, 3D printed fighting top from Turner miniatures could work here. All you need to do is like cut it here and cut it here, cut it flat too, so the damage is actual to the fighting top itself, and then you just mount in one of his fighting tops in the middle, or maybe just cut it off around, and then maybe from below you could actually, if you make a hole in one of, that's probably what I end up doing. I'll cut this off, leave the mast as a solid piece so I don't damage it, and then I'll just make a hole in one of the Turner models fighting tops and then add it from below and glue it in place. I think that could look really good. There is nice definition on the underside though. I mean, that's like with those, I don't know what you call that there, cross trees as well, right? So I don't know why they just decided not to have any detailing on top here. Well. So you have gun decks, guns here. So I guess with the way they're on here, they would be pretty easy to paint most of it in place here. I don't know. Would I need to remove some of it? I'll find a way, otherwise maybe you just stick the front of the cannon into some blue tack, and then you just paint everything, because the metal is just easy to paint after the fact. Just maybe have it standing on blue tack and then just paint the gun after. We'll see how I end up doing that. Maybe paint the metal first. So yards, and those look really nice. Look really good. Bowsprit, looking great, to be honest. Great, really nice and thin here. Of course, it being plastic, if you would like to put a lot of tension on your standing rigging here, going to the bowsprit, might actually, the thinnest part here, the plastic, I'll feel how that feels, but I would maybe just cut that off, try to cut that off and replace it with like 04 brass rod. I think that's what I would do, just to get some more stability here to this part. Because there, even if you just tie them not too hard, those lines, you get a little bit of tension on there. Alternatively, maybe you'll make one of the lines 0.3 brass rod or 0.4 brass rod, so that you get like a triangle of strength here in this. I hope this is in focus. We'll see. So that's that part F, and I guess this part here is part E, and part E is looking very similar to part F. It is the main mast, I suppose. And then we have more yard arms, yards, more guns on here. But as you see, this is like, has some nice detail here on this one. Definitely some nice detail on your arms. Wouldn't be fun to use actually. Now that I looked up at it. We have one more bag. Let's do that one. couple of frames in this bag as well. Let's go from the top. So this is part D, or frame D, and that's the actual outer hull. And here you can see it has those the ribs and everything is in there. So you have that inner detailing as well, which is cool. That is a nice thing. Of course, I'll be cutting it around here. I'll be cutting it, yeah, around the copper here, where the water line would be. So I'm kind of sad missing out on all that nice detailing down there. I think the coppering is pretty nice, the way they did that, like sticking out instead of in, but that would at least make it kind of easy to get some nice, maybe aging on that and so on, if one would like. Gun ports looking good. Nice, thin, solid. I mean, they're thin, but they feel pretty solid. That's going to be nice to work with. Figurehead is split in two. Maybe not a lot of definition on that. I think the Turner 3D print has a lot of more definition and detail for that part. But otherwise I like the bowed ship. It's pretty nice. You get some 3D printed, or not 3D print, but some Photoetch parts to put in here to add more detail to it. So not bad. I mean, not bad at all. I guess this is the a pre-refit, no, it's past after refit version of it, like how it would look at the Trafalgar 1805, right? So this is not an early version of the Victory. This is like the Trafalgar version. Yeah. It looks like my eyesight is bad. I don't have my back. I think there is some detailing in the windows as well, which is pretty nice. I think like looking at this part makes me want to build it, to be honest. This looks nice. Could be fun. Also, building stuff is fun, right? When you have a 3D print, you have almost everything there already. So here we have the missing mat. Again, really thin plastic. I don't know how solid this will be. Of course, this is made as a model, so you shouldn't be touching it too much. I'm used to having these as game pieces, right? You're touching them quite a bit. But this whole thing, the whole mitten is really thin plastic, much thinner than the Warlord game mass. I can tell you. I have to be careful. I don't want to put too much tension on this, to be honest. Like, whoa. If I put too much tension on this with the threads, it's going to bend. So maybe I'll just have to strengthen it with the rigging instead, you know. We'll see. Davits. This should be the davits, the side davits here. I have my finger. Looks like. Chimney. And here we have the stern. I mean, there is some detail there in the windows, which is nice. Really nice detail in the windows. I don't know why they wouldn't do why wouldn't they do the detailing here then? If they can do all that with the print or the mold, right? Well, why not just put all the detail in there? Do they think you wouldn't like that, or would it be standing out too much, or what? Okay, but I'm sure for me that is okay, because I think I could like do some comp lay or something, like, you know, make it look 3D by painting it. It is of course tiny scale. Put on your X6 times magnification glasses and have we go. Yeah. Stern lanterns looking good. Quarterdeck. Yeah, there's some good. It looks like some good detailing on the decking there as well. Not very raised, but it's definitely there, so you could use it. And we have the cat heads here, I guess, and the different lounges, the boats and so on. There is 4 of these, and then there's 2 of the larger ones, and then 1 small, again, a jolly boat, is it called like that? This is frame C. frame C. So I hope this works out with the tracking and everything. I'm gonna have to redo the whole video. But so here is, let's get some focus on this. That's the stern, and here is the other parts. Anchors as well on this frame. And we have frame B, and that's the ribbing here on the other side of the ship. The other part is on the hull, and that is the, I guess, the part you can leave like exposed here. So if you leave the hull off here, you can leave the ribbing exposed if you would like that. And then we have the upper deck here, and there is some nice structure on here as well. I think you could get this really well with some contrast paint, or maybe a paint and a wash, and maybe some lightly brushed on highlighting. You can get that to pop really well. It is a little lower than I'm used to from like a Turner model, or definitely from Warlord. They have a lot deeper grooves for the planking and so on, but I think it can be done. We'll see, I'll find out. The ladders here, they're attached on the underside, I see. This is where you'll have, on those trees, you'll have the boats. Some of this vocabulary might be, like, if you're really into this stuff, you probably, I miss out some of it. Bear in mind, I'm just a hobbyist, but I do like this, and I'm learning as I go. As do we all, right? So the last piece is A. That's the only one we have left, and those are the middle gun deck and lower gun deck and so on. So that's most of this stuff will, unless you leave the structure open, this will not be visible, right? But there is some details here. I think enough details for the scale. Pretty crisp prints, if you ask me, for being plastic. I don't know how well it shows in the video, but there is, on all these decks, there is planking. There is some structure here to the deck, so there is some planking. I don't know how it will look. I'm really gonna have to make a review of this, I think. Now that I did this unboxing, I'm gonna have to do a review once I'm done with this, just to let you guys know how it turned out, all of this. Let me know in the comments if you would like that, or if I just should leave it all alone. But I ended up paying I ended up paying not too much. I think I got this on a good deal, so I ended up paying $25, I think, with shipping and everything for this. Or was it $35? I'm going to put that in the description. I can't remember right now. It wasn't very expensive, I mean, and only the Photoetch I think is good enough for me to be happy with it. But then I got the whole ship, and I'm actually going to try to build it now that I have it. So that was a short unboxing of this ship model from Neverland Hobby. It is quite new. It hasn't been out all that long. May come up in 2024. Had my eye on it because those older kits that I really liked, the Photoetch from Artist Hobby, they haven't made a new run of those for some reason. I tried to contact the Artist Hobby, they haven't said anything about it. The hull there for the Victory, I didn't like that at all. Didn't have very much definition and everything, but the Photoetch was really nice for that one. And of course you had those brass masts in that kit, so you got all those lengths of brass, and then you would have to cut it and build it yourself. And building brass masts, you always get a really solid set of masts that will last a while. So we'll see how this turns out with plastic masts. That's going to be interesting. And then, so that's why I try to look around for some other kit to get some of those larger ships. Be fine. I had a gent being interested in getting a Victory, so I don't know if I can maybe interested in getting this if I make it nice. Let's see. It says here, last thing on the top, you have those parts here that are Photoetch and also 3D printed parts. Internal, external details. Decks, keels, ribs, and other internal structures. The gun ports are open, showcasing the battleship's stamina during combat. Okay. Includes 3D printed ship spell, steering wheel, and mortars to further enhance the level of detail. Did they have mortars? Isn't that those large carronades? I can't remember. Precisely designed for easy assembly, includes sail components, includes winch, boiler, and all cannon components. Yeah. So, HMS Victory unboxing, Neverland Hobby. I mean, overall, looks like a nice little kit in 1/700 scale. We'll see as I build it how well it builds. So that's all for this one, and I hope I see you all for the next video. We have some more battle reports coming up as we play them, and I'm also going to make a little bit of a build story of because I started to build a diorama with HMS Speedy and El Gamo. So that's the ship that inspired the duel in the Aubrey Maturin series of books, where Jack Aubrey takes on the large Spanish Quebec frigate Cacafuego, it's called in the book, Shitting Fire, pretty nice name. Actually named after some kind of galleon, earlier galleon I think, but he's doing that with a small brig called HMS Sophie, and that's basically based on some real event, and that's Thomas Cochrane, a very famous British captain, taking on El Gamo, that was a much larger Quebec frigate, in a really interesting way. So I'm going to tell you more about that as I get into that build. That's going to be a lot of fun.